You don't need I'm doing this my way. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of items.
What's up, everybody? It's Pikel with League of Items, and tomorrow we have LPL, LCK, and the LCS. Yesterday, JDG beat Thunder Talk Gaming 2-0, Rare Atom beat Ultra Prime 2-0, and Top Esports beat Weibo Gaming 2-0. On the video yesterday, and I'm sure they're watching again today, somebody mentioned, I agree, a lot of these dogs look like they're in good spots. So we should get a lot of like 2-1s and stuff like that. But we didn't in the LPL. Kwangdong Freaks did take a game off of T1, and I'm not very surprised by that. I didn't watch that series though. And then Damwon against Nongshim, that really wasn't surprising to me at all. I do believe in the talent of Nongshim long term, but they're not good right now, and I think that Ghost is kind of a liability. So, like I said, we have 3 different regions to go over in today's video, but before we do that, I'd like to say thanks once again to Thrive Fantasy. If you want to play on Thrive Fantasy, they have a lot of prop contests and stuff like that. We're going to take a look at that in today's video once again for the LCS. But if you deposit, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. If you deposit $10 and play in a contest, you get 2 $20 contest entries. And then if you deposit $100, you get 4 $20 contest entries. So it's definitely a good deal. It helps support me, helps support the channel. So yeah, go check out thrivefantasy.com. And like I said, we'll go over it today. So if you want to see what I think about these props for tomorrow, then just wait and see. So let's get into it. So this is Thrive Fantasy, but first we're going into the LPL. So we have V5 against Anyone's Legend. We have LGD against LNG, and Billy Gaming against EDG. So we have the rosters. V5 subbed out Karsa. They're playing Xiaolong Bao, and I don't really think that is a huge problem for V5. I don't know why they've made that move. I haven't seen if there's been some news about Karsa. Maybe he's sick or something. But Xiaolong Bao is a good jungler, and I think that he'll do just fine replacing Karsa. Rich against... Well, so I guess the first thing to say is that Anyone's Legends beat EDG in their last match, so there's probably some reason to think that they have an okay chance of taking at least a game off of V5, and we do believe that V5 is slightly overrated. I just think that at this point, we're getting to a spot where Anyone's Legend is overrated. If you take a look at the scoreboards from their last match, Camille against Gnar, that's a good matchup for the Camille. Lee Sin against Hecarim, it's probably a better side for the Hecarim. In the mid lane, LeBlanc against Ahri, it's kind of just a skill matchup. Getting the Jinx against the Aphelios, I prefer the Jinx side of that matchup pretty significantly. And then, the supports are kind of whatever, because you just see this trade a million times. And that's a lot easier to like wrap your head around than the Aphelios versus Jinx and stuff like that, just because there is that range mismatch that kind of happens a lot. And we've gone over that in some other videos, so I'm not going to do that again here. In the second game, EDG won. And I'm not going to talk about that game because, that's not really a surprising thing. There are most drafts are going to end up with EDG winning. But the first game, they give away Jinx, and then the third game, Jinx is banned, but they have Aphelios against Jhin. So it's just a bad draft in my opinion. I don't think Jhin is a good champion, and some people will say, oh, but Pykel, Viper was 8-3-7. It's like, yes, Viper is a very good player, but even one of the best AD carries in the world isn't guaranteed to carry a game when he's playing Jhin, because Jhin is a garbage champion. You need to basically win early and snowball your advantage. Otherwise, you're playing at a disadvantage in the later portions of the game. So Gnar against Gwen, we see that a decent amount. It's not like it's not a bulletproof matchup, but the Gwen side is definitely favored. Viego against Xin Zhao, Xin is definitely the more consistent jungler. Viego has higher upside in terms of the plays that he can make. Forge on Ahri. So Ahri and Vex, they're both good champions. They're both burst mages. So, you're not getting a ton of sustained damage out of them. And then you have this gigantic difference in champion in the AD carry slot. Aphelios is just a better champion than Jhin. Just like straight up, I think by any measure. Besides maybe utility, but Aphelios does have some utility in his kit. And then we have Set against Leona, so Set is a relatively unique champion. Like we do see a decent amount of it. But it's like the support meta is dominated by Leona and Nautilus. But every once in a while you'll see a Set, because there are a lot of good Set players out there, because Set used to be broken. So in this matchup at plus 350, I think a lot of people are going to be on anyone's legend because of that result specifically, and that's a pretty good number. So I would assume that the plus 1.5 is a pretty good number. Rich against ZDZ, I prefer the Rich side, but Rich isn't really a player that I believe is going to carry very hard. He has the potential to if they draft him into a powerful spot, but I'm just focused mostly on talent. Xiaolongbao against Xiaohao, I think that Xiaolongbao is the better player, and I'm pretty sure it's Xiaolongbao. Like I've heard them call him that on the live streams before. So I think that he is a starting caliber jungler. There are junglers out there who he should be playing over. It's just V5 has him on their roster, so like good for you. You have a good backup. I would prefer his side of the matchup. Rookie against Forge, I prefer Rookie, and then Photic and PP God against Betty and Chow Chow. I do prefer Photic and PP God, not by a lot though. There was a point when like Betty was thought of as an up and coming AD carry and like was supposed to be the heir apparent for Uzi on RNG, but then they kind of went to Gala. And Gala did a good job like playing Kaisa, but we're kind of seeing, I think, some of the limitations of Gala now. And I'm not saying he's a bad AD carry. I just think that he's overrated. But he has played pretty well this split overall, I think. But it's kind of easy to when you're on the more talented team in most of your matchups. But yeah, so for that match, I think that I want to play V5, and I want to have V5 at minus 1.5. I think that, or minus 1.5. I think they just sweep anyone's legends tomorrow. LNG against LGD. So Ale's better than Fearness, Tarzan's better than Shadow, B's better than Jay, Light and Elwandi. Elwandi's playing instead of Lumao. Lumao has been like pretty bad in a lot of situations this split. I know that in general I'm like an apologist towards supports that die a lot, because it's really their job to be a meat shield, cause interaction to happen between the teams through engaging, and a lot of the time sacrificing their lives so that a carry or one of the other champions can kind of escape. But that matchup, I'm not looking to play anything in that really. It's minus 667. If anything, I'd want LGD plus 1.5, because LNG has looked kind of shaky at different points. I really don't expect them to lose this match specifically. And matches are only getting more and more important as time goes on. And it doesn't mean that, LNG is going to try hard and just be better and like care more. It's not really about that, but at the same time, I can't see them missing playoffs. I have a very high opinion of them overall. Like, I know that they lost to JDG, but I have a high opinion of JDG as well. So I'm just kind of staying consistent with my opinion of LNG, and that they will be in playoffs and be a good team. So I'm going on that side. And then we have BLG against EDG. So like I said, EDG coming off of a loss. Uzi is in the starting lineup now. We have Breathe against Flandre. I prefer Breathe. Wei Wei against Jai Jai. I don't think there's a gigantic difference in terms of skill. Fofo and Scout. I do prefer Scout, but I've also been like pretty anti-Fofo, and this year specifically there have been some matches where I was kind of impressed by Fofo, even in losing efforts. Like, he's always able to make a play, which is kind of high praise, because like I was somewhat anti-Fofo in the past. And then we have Uzi and Crisp against Viper and Mako. I know people love Uzi. Viper's better than Uzi straight up, so unless EDG drafts poorly again, I think that, EDG is going to have an advantage in the bot lane. So BLG has probably the advantage in top lane. BLG has the advantage in bot lane. And then it's going to come down to the draft. I think it's a very close contest. So at the plus 110, I don't think that that's really enough to incentivize me to play BLG. I think I would just be on EDG there. Let's go to Korea. So in Korea, we have Live Sandbox against KT Rolster. KT Rolster's minus 370 favorite. I guess it's like kind of half on the screen, but that's not really a big deal. Life against Genji. Genji is a gigantic favorite after their previous win, the upset that they pulled off over Damwon. And, not really, I guess, super surprising. If I knew that Chovy wasn't going to play, like, I never would have, been on that side, but when you're that close in terms of skill, one player, you can kind of overcome having that deficit in the mid lane. But in this matchup tomorrow, KT Rolster, I think that KT at this point in the season, they're a little bit more talented than KT Rolster. I don't know if Arya is completely subbed out. I thought he was playing kind of okay. Closer, Croco, Dove. I think I just prefer KT Rolster. I like Rascal a decent amount. I like aiming. Cuz is pretty good. So I would probably just stick with KT Rolster in that match. And then, like I said, Genji is just a much better team than Life. So that's the side that I'm on there. Let's go to the LCS. So let's get a refresher on the LCS standings. So we have Cloud9 and Team Liquid at 9-2, Flyquest 7-4, 100 Thieves is 6-5, Dig is 5-6, EG is 5-6, which is crazy to me. Golden Guardians 5-6, Immortals 4-7, CLG is 3-8, and TSM is in last place and is 2-9. So the first match tomorrow is Flyquest against CLG. Flyquest is certainly the better team, but they've kind of been on a... Well, okay. The week before that, they were on a losing streak. They beat TSM, they beat Dignitas, so that's good for them. CLG continuously losing. They had their win over Evil Geniuses. Good for you. It's kind of tough to pick against Flyquest there specifically. Contracts look bad. I don't think Contracts is as bad as he's played so far this year. That kind of makes me want to play CLG. But I think I'm going to stick with Flyquest as the pick there. And in that matchup on Thrive Fantasy, we have Johnson over under 2.5 assists. That's an easy over. Jenkins 5.5 kills plus deaths. The over seems like the right side, but I'm not in love with that. So we'll see what else we can get. Golden Guardians against 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves is a pretty big favorite. Minus 227 to plus 170 for Golden Guardians. Golden Guardians over under 2.5 kills. That seems pretty good. Like, you would expect Golden Guardians to lose this game. And when they lose, I would think that Licorice has under 2.5 kills. So I think that one's pretty good. Huhi over under 4.5 deaths. So this one I wouldn't play because of the you'd only get 90 points. So the unders are correlated here. You would say in a game that 100 Thieves wins, Huhi shouldn't have a lot of deaths. So that's under. And Licorice shouldn't have a lot of kills, so that'd be an under. But again, I don't love like 90 points for that. I just don't want to play that. Moving on, Team Liquid against 100 Thieves. I was reading the wrong thing. Team Liquid against Evil Geniuses. So this is a spot where I'm definitely going to be on Evil Geniuses, and we can just go lane by lane real quick on this one. I just believe in the long-term talent of Evil Geniuses. I know that Team Liquid has looked better, but these are the kinds of spots that you kind of have to play when you base everything on talent alone and not recent form. So Impact against Bwipo. Bwipo has definitely looked like the better player this split. There's not really much arguing that. He's a great playmaker, and I have a ton of respect for Bwipo. So that's all I got to say about that. Inspired against Santorin. Inspired is definitely the better jungler. Santorin will often look better, probably or has looked better so far this season because his team is better, and it's a lot easier to his team has performed better on stage, and it's easy to look good when your team is winning. He does have a diverse champion pool in terms of what he's willing to play, but I don't think that he has a diverse champion pool in terms of what he is like elite at against other good teams. Like if Santorin was playing against Golden Guardians or CLG or Immortals, yes, there are probably 10 champions that he could pick in a draft and they'll look good. But against Evil Geniuses, you're really kind of narrowed into the strong champions that play into your win condition or against the enemy team's win conditions. And I just think that that's going to put additional pressure on Santorin. The one thing about Evil Geniuses is they might feel compelled to be the more aggressive side, which gives Santorin the ability to play the easier side of the matchup. So that does scare me a little bit, but that's fine. Jojo Pyun against Bjergsen. Jojo Pyun has proven that he is a very volatile player, which in my opinion is a good thing. He is very good at solo queue. He's doing really well in Champions queue. And he's better than Bjergsen at this point in terms of playing the game for himself. And I'm sure his mechanics are better than Bjergsen right now as well. But the difference is that Bjergsen doesn't need to outplay Jojo Pyun in order to win this game. They can just depend on good team coordination, playing around macro, and that's good enough. I don't think that Evil Geniuses are going to be able to bait Team Liquid into a spot where Bjergsen feels compelled to play an aggressive champion. If he did play an aggressive champion, I think it would be something like LeBlanc. I could see something like that happening. But again, Team Liquid doesn't need to do that. They're at a point in this season where they should just mail it in for the rest of the regular split and play like standard drafts to see what kind of compositions teams will pull out, trying to be aggressive in the early game and building up an advantage to snowball. That's probably the best thing that they could do for themselves. And then the bot lane, we have Danny and Vulcan against Hans Sama, and I think that Core JJ will play, but I'm not sure. I think that Danny has the potential to be better than Hans Sama. I guess he might not be better than Hans Sama right now on this patch specifically. And that's not a negative towards Danny. It's just giving the respect to Hans Sama that he deserves. Hans Sama has been one of my favorite AD carries for the past year and a half, 2 years. Ever since the Misfits run, really. I had a lot of respect for him since that point in time. So I get why Team Liquid is the favorite. They should be the favorite because they have the better record. But I just don't think that Evil Geniuses is this big of a dog. So I want to be on Evil Geniuses. Over under 4.5 kills. I think that you can kind of just over under 4.5 kills. What does he play to get to 5 kills? I mean, I know that Inspired can get 5 kills, but I don't think I really want to play it. If I was playing multiple contests, then yes, I would do something like this where you go over 4.5 kills. But this one's just so much better. Under 2.5 deaths is just so much better. This is one that you can actually pick, and theoretically, he can do this in a win or a loss. The kills, that seems really tough. You're basically betting, yes, Evil Geniuses will win, as well as Evil Geniuses Inspired will be one of the main carries. Just seems unlikely. So again, I like this one. I don't like this one enough to pick the under because it's not enough points. Let's keep going. TSM against Dignitas. So I know that this is going to be a spot where I end up playing team solo mid. They have the new mid laner. I don't think that they're a great mid laner or anything like that, but it's kind of worked to kind of make them seem like they have more continuity. But I'm playing TSM because I kind of have to play TSM at this point. Fake God against Huni. I still prefer Huni River against Spica. They're both very good junglers. I probably prefer Spica. Blue against Takeover. I probably prefer Blue because he has looked better so far this split. Neo and Biofrost against Tactical and Yurson. Or Tactical and Shenyi. It's going to be Shenyi. That is a very interesting spot because Tactical has shown that he can be the hard carry that the team needs. It's just like, do we believe in it? And I'm not 100% sure that I believe in it, but I have to just keep playing them. Plus 135 doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like the right number, but one thing that I think of sometimes is like what the look-ahead line would have been. So if this line was released before the season started and it was just TSM playing against Dignitas with the assumptions that we had about TSM's talent level versus Dignitas, TSM would have been the favorite. They probably would have been minus 150 to plus 150. I know you can't unsee what you've seen during this split, but that's a lot of movement. So I think that I kind of have to be on the TSM side there. So then we have Neo over under 3.5 kills. I mean, if you had to pick these, I would definitely play under and over, but I don't have to, so I probably wouldn't. Seems pretty tough. And then we have C9 against Immortals, the last game of the day. Minus 400 to plus 275. What the hell? That seems pretty aggressive. If Arrow is... I'm really happy that Flyquest or Immortals has been playing Arrow. Arrow is just better than Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle is just not a good AD carry. He hasn't been a good AD carry for multiple years. And it's like, can he, function as an AD carry in the LCS? Yes. But if your goal as an organization is to put somebody out there that can just function as an AD carry and like passes the eye test of being a professional, then you're not serious about winning, and that's a negative in my opinion. So the 9.5 kills plus deaths for Power of Evil, they're begging you to play the under here. I don't think that I could really suggest the over. I just don't think that Power of Evil would die enough in a lot of these losses. Like, I could see it being... And maybe he could die. I would say probably the under is the better side, and that's why it's 80 points. I just don't feel incentivized to go to the over. And then with the over under 3.5 assists, I feel like you have to play the over. So you have to play that. I would get rid of that. So the four that I like the most are Licorice under 2.5 kills, Johnson over 2.5 assists, Bjergsen under 2.5 deaths, and Blabber over 3.5 assists. So we need one more. So let's go through this again. Huhi over under 4.5. So that's probably an under. And that's for 90. Jenkins, 5.5 kills plus deaths. That feels like an over. And it's at higher points, and I feel like it's about the same as that one, so I'd probably prefer that one. The over under 4.5 kills, I'm not playing that. Over under 9.5 deaths. That one feels pretty easy, but it's not about getting the easy points. It's about getting the points that'll win you something. TSM over under 3.5 kills. So it's between over 3.5 kills. Over 3.5. You got to go over 3.5 kills. So that's probably the 5 that I would play. Again, I cannot play because I'm in New Jersey. But if I was playing it, I would play Licorice under 2.5 kills. Because I think that Golden Guardians will lose. Johnson over 2.5 assists because that's an easy number to get to in a win or a loss, in my opinion. Bjergsen under 2.5 deaths because actually that seems a little thin now, but for 130 that seems like a very good one. Blabber over under 3.5 assists. That one just seems like an easy number to get to, so you're kind of taking the free square. And then Neo over 3.5 kills. And that's what we've got for you today. So we've gone through the LPL, we've gone through the LCK and the LCS. Thanks again, Thrive Fantasy, for working with me on this. If you want to try out Thrive Fantasy, Make sure you use the promo code PIKEL to get your deposit match 100% up to $100. If you deposit $10 and play in a contest, you get two $20 contest entries. If you deposit $100 and play in a contest, you get four $20 contest entries for free. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.